Kizaru has finally flipped and he's now going against the world government. I knew he was going to flip. Everybody's pinned down by Saturn's powers. There's nobody who can actually move but Kizaru. He's the only one fast enough to be able to do it. So I know deep down, he definitely believes in Nika. I put that on everything. So the chapter starts off right. Bonney and Vegapunk are talking, and they're at the aftermath and when she sees what happens with Kuma's memories. And she's like, yo, you saw everything. Based on everything that Kuma has gone through in his past, it kind of makes sense for why she has now gone from 100 back to 0. Back before, Bonney was hot, like she was on Vegapunk ass, to the point where she was just like, yo, when I see you, it's on sight. Even diverted from the whole mission. It was actually crazy. Now I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, okay, now that you've seen what Kuma actually went through, okay, now she kind of calmed down. Not even kind of. She went from 100 back to 0. And I'm like, okay, so now you done came back to your senses. She actually hugs Vegapunk real tight and she's in her like childlike form. Of course, Bonney knows that Luffy and Dragon are father and son. And I mean, now it's at the point where, okay, Kuma and Bonney, they're father and daughter. That gives even more cause for like an alliance or like almost like an honorary Straw Hat to some capacity. Also, y'all, a lot of y'all watch this due to like recommendations and stuff, but y'all, I'll appreciate it if y'all hit that like button and if y'all hit that subscribe button. Yo, I appreciate it, y'all. Thanks. Saturn is basically just a complete villain to the point where I feel like in this time, he's almost like unfolding his master plan and he is very calculated. Like he made every move for an actual reason. It almost feels like Aizen to the point where like, if anybody's watched Bleach, right? Aizen was plotting Ichigo's future from basically before he came out the womb. Like if you know, you know. Kizaru looking real sus right now. The fact that he's almost calling out for Sentomaru and Bonney, because Sentomaru got caught and it's actually reported back to Saturn. And the fact that he's calling out to him, right? Well, he's not calling out, but he's basically thinking about him. It just shows to you that he's on the verge of flipping. And he gets to that extent where Luffy's out here asking for food. And he was definitely the one who did it. There's nobody else who could have done it. No one else is that fast. He caught everybody else off guard to the point where nobody even knows. 1 minute, Kizaru's on the floor, and then all of a sudden, he like sitting up. And they're like, yo, who gave Luffy that food? And then he just kind of sitting there like, I don't know what you're talking about, bruh. I'm like, on everything, man. I've been here the whole time. Of course, Luffy's still out of commission. He really can't do anything at this point. Sanji's out of commission. Frankie's out of commission. They're all out of commission at this point. They're just pinned down. Vegapunk's on the floor. So it's Bonney versus Saturn. And I mean, she's taking an L at this point. There's no version of this where she's actually winning a 1v1 versus somebody from the 5 Elder Planets. She tries to use distorted future, and the way distorted future works, right, is that if the future that you envision is different to what is actually in reality, that can severely decrease the results of the distorted future. The thing is that they have to be internally linked. Remember, Bonney hasn't actually seen Luffy as Nika in its entirety. She wasn't really there while he was actually exchanging with Kizaru. She's also lost faith. Considering everything that Saturn actually said, he exposed his whole plan to her. To the point where he was like, yep, I did that. Blue scale disease, I did that. Messed your mother up, messed your daddy up. Basically, everything that has gone wrong in your life, I did that. And just the sense of distress that is in her face, she's like, man, I just kind of want to die at this point. Like, I'm ready to just pack up and be gone. He doesn't care, nor does he actually care to understand. He's like, nah, I'm above that. I don't need to know none of that. He does not care in any capacity, and he is chilling. Nah, this chapter was an absolute banger. What a way to actually go out of the year. She can't even manipulate his actual age because I don't know if I'm interpreting this correctly, right? But it turns out she doesn't actually have a devil fruit. It's just an extract of a devil fruit where she has certain abilities. But those abilities were actually given to her by Saturn. And the thing is, he knows the ins and outs of her abilities to the point where he knows it's not actually going to work on her. And she was just broken. She was just broken to the point where mentally she was checked out. Like at this point, I'm kind of sitting there and I'm just like, hey, yo, therapy gonna be a mother. Bonney tries to swing on Saturn and it's almost like Nika to some extent. You can tell these guys fear Luffy. They actually fear him, because every time anything Nika related even comes into question, they're like, Nika, all right, like, yo, bring the big guns out. Dragon right now, I'm not really sure where he's at, especially talking about the actual fragment. I feel like that charm that was given to Bonney at the beginning of the chapter, what may be attracting Kuma to Egghead Island. But at the same time, at the end of the chapter, we actually see Kuma using armament haki. And armament haki is willpower. And when you have willpower, that means that's you. So I feel like despite the modifications he's gone through, there's still a massive part of Kuma that's actually in him, to the point where he has traveled so far from island to marry Josie, to the New World, to the Red Line, all the way to Egghead to protect the Straw Hats and to protect Bonney. I really don't know how this is really gonna play out at this point. So this is getting hot. Saturn has already confessed doing everything, and he just has no sympathy or no remorse for anything at all. And I'm kind of sitting there like, yo, like, this guy's actually going crazy. Like, honestly, right now, I really don't know how Egghead is going to wrap up, because right now, Kizaru is the one to look out for. Because at this point in time, if he can flip to that capacity, I don't think he's going to flip in its entirety, but he will make a move to the point where it will place everything more in favor of the Straw Hats and Bonney. And honestly, oof, the way the chapter ended, Saturn's about to get an armament haki punch to the face. So, I don't know, man, but yo, this chapter was crazy. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll holler at y'all later, man. Peace.